Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Alhamdulillah. We just had our fifth day of fasting, mashallah. So, just about after tomorrow will be about 20% of the month gone already, subhanallah. Ramadan is moving quickly. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make every single day easy for you and He accept each and every single day fasting from you, all your efforts, all your du'as, your supplications, and all your righteous deeds. Here tonight for our nightly Khatira. And tonight, inshallah, we're going to be discussing Hadith number 6. But before that, for those of you who joined us earlier for the recitation between Asr and Maghrib, we finished the fifth juz of the Quran. Um, and that was primarily just Surah An-Nisa. We will finish Surah An-Nisa tomorrow in the sixth juz. Um, this juz has lots of course, beautiful lessons for us to extract. And since this surah deals a lot with many ahkam in terms of how we deal with our spouses and women in general, I thought what better hadith today than to talk about haya. So hadith number 6 today is about haya. What is the hadith? Al-haya'u la ya'ti illa bi khair. Al-haya'u la ya'ti illa bi khair. Modesty. Haya, by the way, this is a very difficult word to translate into one word in English. You can't really do justice to it. It's modesty, it's bashfulness. It's a combination of both. Um, it, it's um it's a very unique word that you find in Arabic that it cannot be simply translated into one word to give it full justice. But anyway, al-haya la ya'ti illa bi khair. Modesty does not bring anything but goodness. There is goodness in every act of modesty. This hadith is recorded by Imam Bukhari. Imam Bukhari. Uh, so beautiful hadith. Um, there are so many hadith on haya. I'm just going to mention a few others, not to memorize, but just to provide additional meaning to this hadith and more emphasis. Our Prophet ﷺ mentioned in another hadith that al-haya'u khayrun kullu. Modesty is all that is good. This is recorded by Imam Muslim. In another hadith, he mentions that al-imanu bid'un wa sab'una أو بضع وستون شعبة. Faith consists of 70 or 60 branches. فأفضلها قول لا إله إلا الله وأدناها وأدناها إماطة إماطة الأذى عن الطريق. Um, the best of which of all those 60 and 70 branches is لا إله إلا الله. أفضلها قول لا إله إلا الله وأدناها, and the least of the 60 or 70 branches is that you remove something harmful from the road. إماطة الأذى عن الطريق. Just, you could be driving somewhere, you could be walking, and if you see something that can block the path or harm someone, you move it out of the way. That's actually a sign of Iman, even though it may be something so small, but that comes from the goodness of one's heart and belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he mentions at the end of this hadith, وَالْحَيَاءُ شُعْبَةٌ مِّنَ الْإِيمَانِ. And modesty is a branch of faith. It's one of those branches. So, of course, the highest is La ilaha illallah, and the lowest is removing something from the road. So, al-haya is somewhere in between. But more than likely, it's probably somewhere really high because there's so much emphasis given to haya by our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Um, some of our scholars have mentioned so many things regarding haya. And I'll mention a couple things here, a few things. Modesty is of two types, one scholar mentions. He says it's either natural or it's acquired. So some people are just naturally modest. I still remember one of my friends, he had two boys, and he said, Sahib, my boys, they have a different a character. I can see it already. They were only like 2 and 4 years old, but he could notice things already. He said, my older boy, uh, anytime he had to go in his diaper, he would just go, no matter where he was. But my second son, he would go to the corner of the room so nobody could see him, and he would do it there in his diaper. These are the little babies, but it was amazing. No one taught either of them what to do. This was just their natural first instinct. But subhanallah, they both had their own way of doing things without being taught. So that's where, sometimes it's just naturally within us. That younger boy had haya. He wouldn't just launch one in front of anyone. He would go to the corner. But that's okay. That doesn't mean the other boy's bad. It's just something that maybe he can learn later. But sometimes it is natural. Some people are naturally very modest. And does anyone know who was known to be the companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam who had the most modesty, the most haya? He had so much haya. In fact, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, "The angels are shy of you. The angels are bashful in front of you." Who? Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu. He had so much haya. Rasulullah said that even the angels are shy in front of you. They're modest. They're bashful in front of you. So imagine the modesty he had. What is this modesty? Um, First of all, in regards to the two types, the natural modesty, it means that the individual has this quality by nature, and he does not need to exert any effort to acquire it. And then the acquired modesty, on the other hand, is attained by those who possess knowledge concerning Allah, being cognizant of His greatness, of His knowledge, His power, His proximity, and knowing that He sees everything that they do. It can also be learned by being around people that have haya, learning it from others, observing it from others. Modesty is one of the most honorable attributes, and it is a consistent virtue found in all of the various laws sent down to each prophet and messenger. The scholar mentions a number of points here. He says it only brings good to individuals, and it is an indication of faith, as mentioned in the hadith that we read. Um, Another important thing is that indecency, on the other hand, shows that one lacks virtues and is, dishonorable and uncultured. So as a Muslim, we have an obligation that we show modesty when we go out. In fact, our women are commanded, it's actually an obligation that when they go out, they observe this form of modesty, and that is to cover, their hair, um, their whole bodies, everything basically except their face, hands, and feet. They do this out of modesty, out of their protection. And, you know, that's something a lot of people miss sometimes. They look at haya or this act of hijab, and they say, oh, what Muslim women are oppressed. No, our Muslim women are not oppressed at all. Actually, they're very modest. In fact, would you ever see a picture of, even though that may not be of course, the real image of Maryam alayhi salam, but do you ever see an image of Maryam, uh, Mary, mother of Jesus, with her hair uncovered? Never. But does anyone ever say that she was oppressed? Never, but rather they will say she was a saintly woman, a modest woman that used to cover. Um, and so our Muslim women follow the same path as the righteous women in the past, as ordered by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala in the Quran, that they cover themselves when they go out, and this is a form of modesty. Now, for the men as well too, there is a form of modesty that we need to observe as well. You can't just go out with such tight clothing that it reveals every part of your body. This is not the purpose of covering yourself. Then you're basically almost going out without clothes because you're outlining every part and shape of your body. This is not modesty. So the men also have to observe modesty, although we don't cover our hair or even necessarily our arms in some cases, or even the legs underneath the knees, and are permissible to show. But there still should be a level of modesty for men when they go out. Sometimes I walk in the masjid and I see young kids. I mean, they got pants on so tight. I don't know how they put them on. First of all, I mean, someone must be helping them put them on, because it almost looks like they have painted their legs the color blue or black or whatever the color that their pants are. Um, Moreover, they are so tight that the t-shirt they are wearing, when they go into ruku or sajda, it goes up, above their backs. So their whole back is exposed, and then you can see their underwear and so forth. This is not clothing of a Muslim. We should be more modest in the way we dress. You can wear a pant and shirt. There's nothing wrong with that. But just take it easy. And there's no need to where it's so tight that you can't even breathe, you know, or so tight that you can't even make ruku' and sajda properly. That if you did, it could tear something, you know, either tear your clothes or tear somebody's vision in the back. It's very important for the young women, have modesty in the way you dress. There's also modesty not just in clothing, but even the way we act, our demeanor. You know, you all must have come across some people or someone in life where they get a little too close, they're a little too friendly, and and the way they talk to you, and this is someone not even related to you, but they get a little too comfortable, if you know what I mean. Um, there is a way of modesty also in speech, and so especially when we talk to the opposite gender, I mean, you should not be checking them out, while you're talking to them, staring at them up and down and so forth. This is, first of all, it's going to make them feel uncomfortable, right? It's going to make the other person feel very uncomfortable, and it doesn't show you as a modest person. And the same way, your demeanor when you talk to them, you don't want to be upfront. You want to respect people's space, especially now with coronavirus. I mean, I don't think you want to be in anyone's space. Um, maintain social distancing. Good way to practice haya. Everyone is practicing haya now, mashallah. Everyone has their face covered. The men have niqabs when they're going out. Women are covering. Everyone's covering. No one even wants to come near you, right? They're talking to you from a distance. SubhanAllah. What amazing times that we are witnessing today. Um, we're forced to cover up and maintain space and be respectful of each other. And that's really you know what's going on. But before that, it was just free everything. Just wear whatever you want and be as close as you want to anybody. But that's obviously not the case anymore. So subhanallah, we're going through a lesson for mankind now as well, learning a lot of things from this shutdown. You should always look for some angles of good coming out of this. Um, you know, but may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to benefit from this. But going back to modesty, so there's a lot when it comes to modesty. There's the demeanor, there's the way you look at people, the way you talk to them, and so forth. Um, this is something that we have to instill in our kids at a young age. You shouldn't be dressing up your kids, especially the younger ones, and short shorts and like spaghetti straps when you're going out and stuff like this. If you do that at a young age, what are they going to do when they get older? They're going to feel like dressing the same way. Modesty starts at a young age too. You should start, dressing them, in nice ways where they're not completely exposing themselves as well. Even though it's a child, it doesn't make it, necessarily okay. You should be as modest as possible, training them from a young age how to dress. Um, of course, the children underneath the age of puberty, they don't have to wear hijab, the young girls, but at the same time, that doesn't mean we wear clothes that are so revealing also. So train them from a young age, train them about modesty, how to maintain a distance. When you talk to the opposite gender, you talk to them respectfully. You don't stare them up and down. It's in some cultures we bow our heads. Some people here might find that offensive. I have to mention, if you're talking to someone and you're not even making any eye contact, if you're just looking down, working in the environment here that we work in the US, that, that can come across as offensive. But you can still look at someone without being immodest. You know, you can look at them, maybe occasionally look down, look up, look down. You know, I mean, and look at them respectfully as if you know you are sincerely listening to what they have to say, but rather you know instead of checking them out and so forth. So it's just very important. We teach our kids the way to talk and so forth, and even us ourselves, we do the best as we can to maintain this modesty. Modesty comes in so many shapes and forms. We could go on, um, you know, discussing the subject so much, but Allah Subhanahu wa Taala mentions it even in the Quran in regards to the way we conduct ourselves. It should be done in forms of modesty. Um, in Surah An-Nisa, believe it or not, the verse of hijab is not mentioned in that surah. It's actually Surah Al-Ahzab. You would think, you know, that the chapter of women would mention it, but actually it doesn't. It mentions many other things, but not this particular point of hijab. That actually comes in Surah Al-Ahzab. But the surah mentions many amazing points, and I'll just end with one verse from the juz that we read today, the last verse actually. ما يفعل الله بعذابكم إن شكرتم وآمنتم. Why should Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ever punish you if you are grateful and you believe? If you are grateful to Him and you believe in Him, what does He have to do to send a punishment upon you? He has no reason to do that. Even when we make a mistake, you know, He's not one who punishes us right away. He is full of mercy, more merciful than a mother is to her child. So Allah is very merciful. We should always remember that. But at the same time, we cannot take advantage of His mercy and have vain hopes and desires. But we should be, um, you know, as grateful as we can, believe in Him, in His way, His Sunnah, as much as possible. Like today's point, al haya. Try to, you know, instill haya as much as you can in your daily life, and try to do it and teach it to your kids as well, inshallah. It's something that you constantly have to work on. You know, we live in a society where people are very revealing. You know, they show a lot of things. You have to prepare yourself for that, and your families, your kids. You're gonna see things when you go outside, but you know, just try to don't let it get to you as much as possible, because if you slip, then you can fall into the traps of shaitan and the traps of society, and then even the evil within ourselves sometimes can take us over. So we have to remain strong. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all strength, and you keep us on the straight path. Ameen, Ya Rabbil Alameen. So I'll repeat this hadith one more time. Al-haya'u la ya'ti illa bi khayr. Modesty does not bring anything but goodness. Rawahul Bukhari, narrated by Imam Bukhari. Let's go back to hadith number 1 and do a quick recap before we leave. Hadith number 1, ad-deenun nasiha. The religion is sincerity. Rawahu Muslim, recorded by Imam Muslim. Second hadith, ad-du'a mukhul ibadah. Supplication is the essence of worship. Rawahu at-Tirmidhi, narrated by Imam at-Tirmidhi. Third hadith, al-mar'u ma'a man ahabba. A person will be with whom he loves. Recorded by Imam Bukhari and Muslim, or you can say muttafaqun alayh. Fourth hadith, حُبُّكَ الشَّيْءَ يُعْمِي وَيُصِمُّ. Your love for something can render you blind or deaf. Recorded by Imam Abu Dawood. Rawahu Abu Dawood. Next hadith, hadith number 5. Al-anatu min Allah wal-ajalatu min ash-shaytan. Calmness is from Allah, serenity, and haste is from shaitan. Rawahu at-Tirmidhi again, recorded by Imam at-Tirmidhi. And today's hadith, Al-haya'u la ya'ti illa bi khair. Modesty does not bring anything but goodness. Make sure you practice all of them. We're ramping up now. We have gotten to hadith number 6, so that's 20% of everything we were supposed to memorize. Inshallah, you have memorized everything till today. And make sure you spend a few minutes every day memorizing each one and practicing each one, so that when we go on, you don't forget anything in the back. Um, I hope it's going easy for you. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them. And we'll close with the same dua that we made last night. And I believe it was already sent to you, but we'll just say it once so that you can hear it again, inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanallah al-azim. يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث أصلح لنا شأننا كله ولا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وصل اللهم على نبينا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه والتابعين. Remember, the hadith we send you is always in the singular form. So it's going to say, Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum bi rahmatika astaghith. When we say it as a group, we say nastaghith. Then it will say, Aslih li sha'ni kullah. Straighten my affairs for me. But when we say it together, we will say, Aslih lana sha'nana kullah. Straighten all of our affairs. And then the ending is the same. Um, وَلَا تَكِلْنَا, actually, وَلَا تَكِلْنِي, the hadith will say, and do not leave me to myself. But we will say as a group, وَلَا تَكِلْنَا إِلَى أَنفُسِنَا طَرْفَةَ عَيْنٍ. So you guys will say, when you're saying yourself, وَلَا تَكِلْنِي إِلَى نَفْسِي طَرْفَةَ عَيْنٍ. But we will say, وَلَا تَكِلْنَا إِلَى أَنفُسِنَا طَرْفَةَ عَيْنٍ. Do not leave us even for a blink of an eye. A beautiful call towards our Creator, a call of desperation, which He loves to hear from His servants, knowing that we are in need of Him. May allow us to learn more and more. Inshallah, you're able to learn this on the side as well. And tomorrow we'll continue with the juz number 6 of the Quran and hadith number 7, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.